Hello everybody, my name is Michael, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is this right here. So if that looks interesting to you guys, please carry on and watch the video. And also one more thing before we get into the video, if you enjoy what I do here, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me out and lets me know you enjoy the video. But with all that out of the way, let's get into that video. Okay, so once we've got the miniature primed up, I've just used a grey primer here. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with the skin tones that we're going to use here. So for me, I'm going to be using sort of just a base skin tone that we're going to use here, and I want to of course place that everywhere we see the skin. Now with this miniature here, in particular the one that I'm painting, he's got just some boots on, but I'm going to not do his legs, and instead I'm going to paint them up as that he's wearing long socks, because this is supposed to be sort of like, I'm guessing, like a street doctor or a physician, something sort of like that, and that's sort of what I want to try go for. Is he's like a you know, an old-timey, like medieval sort of doctor or surgeon. So I want to go with that sort of theming with him, and I'm just going to give those areas with legs, rather than make them short shoes, like nearly sneakers in a sense, I'm going to be painting his legs as socks there. So whether that's the intention of the miniature or not, it's a little bit hard to tell with the sculpt, but that's what I want to do here. But as you can see, of course, we are painting up all of those skin areas. Then with all the base tone of our skin color, you can come in now with a highlight color. Now for me, I'm going to be using natural flesh for this. You could also use the original tone with just a little bit of white mixed in to brighten it up. As well as that too, I also filmed myself doing the eyes, but it was totally out of focus and blurry on camera, so I just decided to leave that. But it's also a good time to paint in the eyes as well. You could also do it at the end once you have all the skin done, but I like to try and do it in between the base coating and highlight step. So if there's any accidental mishaps in getting the eyes wrong, I can easily clean it up in the base coating step. But for now, all we're doing is hitting those areas where the sun would naturally come in and hit all those high points with our brush. And you can see here I'm skimming it with the side of my brush to really catch the edge of every detail. Then once you have that complete, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be using a wash. In this case, this is a flesh tone wash, and this, for my exact one, I'm using Raccoon Flesh shade here, but any flesh tone wash will do. And I'm just placing that over all the areas that we've just painted up, but being very careful about placing it on the face. Now, some of the wash will probably naturally get into those eyes, but what you want to do is you want to come in as quickly as you can with a clean brush, or the brush as it is as you're going over it, and just wick up that area as quickly as you can to avoid any staining on that eye color. So just nice and simple to quickly do that as you're going. Then once our wash is completely dry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with some grey. In this case for me, it's company grey. This is a light, very light grey, almost on the verge of white, and I'm going to be using this to be painting in as his hair color. Now, totally up to you what color of hair you could do here. Like, you know, the possibilities are basically endless with whatever color hair you want, but I wanted to make him sort of like a older gentleman, as I think that lends quite good to the sculpt, as he's got like these nice sideburns on him, and he really looks sculpted like he's a little bit older and wiser. So I thought that was really cool with that sculpture in mind, so I want to try and emphasize that a little bit there. So I'm going to go with the nice graying hairstyle in color terms, rather than you know, a younger, more youthful bride. I want to make it, he's a wizened old physician here, or a surgeon that's been at his game for quite a while. So that's what I'm trying to do. Then once we have his hair painted in, what we're going to do now is we're going to come in with a yellow color, in this case desert yellow, and this is what I'm going to be using for his coat that he is wearing. Now this again is of course totally up to you and what color you want to do. You may want to go with a black, or a you know, a white could also work, as like he's sort of wearing like lab coat sort of thing. You could also go with, you know, yellow like I am here, just something slightly different. You could easily of course go with a nice brown as well, so totally up to you what color you want to use here. I'm going with a yellow because I want to try and use some different colors here over the miniature, give it some nice eye-catching colors as well. And since I'm going with this muted yellow too, I think it just is going to help make the miniature just stand out a little bit than if we were to do this as like a brown coat that he is wearing. Then once we have that base color all painted in, I'm going to come in with a lighter color now. In this case, it's just a little bit lighter yellow. And of course, if you're wanting a lighter color, you can always just mix in a little bit of white to get your colors that little bit brighter. But for me, I conveniently have the next step up. One good thing about the new line of the Army Painter colors is they have a nice color scheme, which easily you can find the color that is just highlighted there a little bit more from the original color you use, so nice and easy for picking out your highlight colors. But as you can see, all I'm doing is going around and picking out the high points areas on our coat here, and picking those areas where the sun is naturally going to be hitting, and giving a nice just a small light coat over each one of those places to really pick out the areas as if they're shining in the light as a highlight implies. So just carefully going out, making sure that we're not accidentally painting over anywhere, especially the skin and the hair, since we have that all nicely painted in. So just a little bit of brush control as well too. But one good thing this model is it's got these nice big flowing areas with nice ridges, so nice and easy to pick out the highlights in those areas. Then once we have that coat painted up, what we're going to do now is I'm going to come in with some deck tan. And what this is going to be used for is the, what would you call it, the bib, essentially, his work apron that he has over him to protect himself from getting too dirty. I want to give this a good cover in our deck tan. As well as that too, I'm also going to use this for the color on his legs, which I said at the start that I wanted to make those area of the legs as long socks. So I'm going to use the deck tan to do that as well. Of course, we want to be careful that we're not accidentally painting it anywhere we don't want to as well. So if you have to switch to a finer point brush, or you just need to steady yourself a little bit, don't forget to brace your hand upon itself so you've got a lot steadier area instead of having your hand wiggle. One tip there to try and keep your hand steady as you can paint some sort of delicate areas. Then once we have that painted up, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with some black grey. This is not a super intense color that I want to go with here for the boots. I'm just going with trying to make them look basically black, but I don't want them to be entirely black, as I'm going with the dark grey instead, so I can place a wash over top of them and that'll bring them down all a bit without making everything go to a complete matte black. But if you want to go with some nice black shoes, of course, nice and easy to do, but I wanted to have that little bit of room to just darken them down with a wash, so it gives a little bit of a texture over them as the wash settles on them, giving them a more sort of interesting effect. But totally up to you with what color you want to do your boots here. Then once we have his shoes picked out, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with a charcoal brown. This is a nice very dark brown, and I'm going to be using this for his tool chest that he has on here, which I guess he's carrying more instruments that he uses to operate on people. And I'm going with a nice dark color here because I'm going to be painting the metal banding around that. And I think to play off the colors that I'm using for our doctor here is I've used a lot of light colors so far, so adding in a couple of spots of darker colors is really going to help give a more cohesive look over the piece and give it something more interesting to look at. So that's why I've gone with a nice dark brown for the base color. So now with that complete, what I'm going to do is come in with a lighter brown. In this case for me it's going to be leather brown, and I'm going to be using this to be painting the belts that he has on him, or the straps. And there's only a couple to pick out around here. He's just got one around the middle of his chest and the two little straps that hold up his apron. So nice and easy colors to pick out there. And then with that complete, what we're going to do is come into a metallic now, and this for me is going to be gunmetal, so just a nice standard metal looking color, and this is going to be used for painting up his his obviously like bone saw or operating saw that he uses. As well as that too, I also want to be picking out, there's some nicely sculpted little tools on his belt, so I want to pick those out as well. I'm guessing they're sort of like grips and stethoscopes and probably like scalpels and stuff on there. A little hard to make out, but you can definitely tell there's something nicely sculpted there that are definitely little bits of tools. As well as that too, we also want to be painting the chest that he's carrying beside him, the metal banding around to make it look like a chest out of a dungeon, I guess, sort of like a mini version, nicely sculpted in there. But it's his, of course, where he keeps all his working tools for operating on people. So just going around and picking out those colors. Okay, so now we have that complete. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with another wash now. In this case, of known oil or a black wash, and I'm going to be using this on a few areas over the model. Now, since we gave him a nice grey here, I want to use the black wash to get into those areas of the sculpted detail and sort of, you know, just enhance that grey hair a little bit by emphasizing the detail by giving it a wash over that. As well as that too, I also want to go over our metallic areas, as giving a known oil wash over the metallic areas gives them a nice awesome effect. And as well as that too, I'm also going to be going over his socks and his boots as well. I'm going to give a nice black wash too. Then now we have that first wash dry, I'm going to apply a second wash now, and this one is going to be a brown wash. And for this I'm going to be placing over the big areas of the miniature here. So his coat that he is wearing, as well as his apron, and I'm going to do over the brown of his chest and the saw that he has on him as well, giving everywhere a nice good overall coat of brown. And this is going to just darken everything down. And also I'm going to be maybe a little bit more intentional with the brown on the apron that he has on him too, to try and leave it so it's like a little bit dirty. So, and because I'm also making this doctor here like a street doctor, I want to keep him a little bit dirty, so I'm going to be a bit more rougher here with the wash and not worrying about it pooling in certain places, because I want to give him the look that he's a guy who stands on the street waiting to operate people for a price, as that's sort of his game in life. Just giving him a little bit of character there. So I'm not trying to make him a super clean and pristine doctor like he should be. I want to make him a crazy shabby street doctor, and if you get hurt out on the streets, this is the guy who happens to be around and charges you to fix you up while operating on the street. That's what I want to try and go for here. So I'm going to leave the wash a little bit shabby, so over the thing, and not trying to make it too clean, so he has a little bit of personality to him. Then once we have that wash complete, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in now with another metallic color. In this case it is brassy brass, and I'm going to be using this to pick out the buttons on the coat that he has here. He has quite a few buttons all over him, so I'm just going to go around and pick out those little bits that you can see dotted around on him. I wanted to make them brass rather than gold, because I think they would mix a little bit too much with his coat that he has wearing on him, and I think metallic steel color also wouldn't work as well. So going on with the brass, I think, just gives it a little bit of pop of color. Then once we have that picked out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an effect paint now, and this is going to be dried blood. And what I want to do is I'm going to place a little bit of this on his saw that he has here, his bone saw. I'm going to be picking out just little bits on the edge. As well as that too, I'm also going to be dotting some spots over his apron, because like I said, I wanted him to be a street doctor, so he's not always the clean or most hygienic doctor around. He's the one that you just happen to find on the street, so I want to make him look intimidating. As well as that too, he could also be a great miniature to have as like a bad guy in a game that you're playing as well, like adding on this blood effect. I'm not going to go too crazy with the blood, but I want to make it look like he doesn't clean himself and his tools too often. He's just constantly operating on people. But with all that, that leaves our miniature finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into some glamour shots to see how it all came out in the end. And there you have it. With all that completed, we have finally finished painting up our crazy street doctor or surgeon miniature that we have here. So I hope this video has been helpful for you guys, whether you want to follow along with what I did here, or you just want to use this video as some inspiration in painting up your own miniatures. But with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.